Dzień dobry, dzieci. It's time for another episode of the Flurza Experience. Yes, this is a show about Gwent, but hold on, pump the brakes there, Charlie, because it's so much more as well. I am joined, as always, by the Polish Batman himself, Pavel Burza. Now, Pavel, the Polish Batman is actually...
Wow.
Do you know that there is an actual Polish Batman?
What? No.
So, the Polish Batman is actually a... I believe he was a long jumper, like a ski jumper in the Olympics.
Okay.
You need to look this
Adam
up.
Małysz.
I forgot the dude's name, but Polish Batman.
Adam Małysz. That's the most well-known ski jumper from Poland.
What's his name?
But Adam Małysz. But he's no Batman. Why you call him Polish Batman?
Because he flies through the air.
He has a mustache and everything. Oh, he flies through the air. Well, that's not enough to be Batman. What about being a millionaire and being the Dark Knight?
Oh, hold on. I just Googled Polish Batman, and apparently there's a song called Polish Batman by a band called the Partyland Men.
Oh, the Partyland Men. They sound like something up my alley.
So, I don't know why I just discovered this. I was looking for Polish Batman. I know he's an Olympian.
The things that Google give you. Yeah, it's Adam Małysz.
Okay, there you go. So,
yeah.
There you go, Polish Batman. But there's also you, I guess.
Damn.
You're also
I leveled
Batman.
up. I always wanted to be Batman. I mean, being Batman is awesome. Does that mean I'm already a billionaire and I have my own Batcave?
No. I'm looking at your apartment right now. I don't know where you could fit a Batcave in that apartment.
No. Underground, under the house, underground. Just dig it up.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Whatever works.
In your free time, just Dominica, I'm just going to the Batcave.
To the Batcave.
Yeah.
I'm going to the Batcave.
That would be sick. There is a little bit of reasoning why we opened with a Batman reference, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Yes, we'll get to that. But yeah, episode 8, we took a week off and we're back in business right now. Coming back to you was a busy week, but we are here.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in everyone's life, but ultimately we could not get things worked out last week. And to the 3 people who were concerned about us, we're fine. We're okay.
Yes, we're doing well. Yeah. This is not going away. We are here to stay. We're here to fill your ear holes with amazing information.
Filling your ear holes with information is basically...
That sounds bad.
Well, it's true, I guess. I suppose, but it was a busy week for all of us. But, this podcast is not necessarily just a Gwent-related podcast. I mean, it's 2 friends being friends, and that's...
Amen.
I mean, we talked about this a little off-air in terms of, it's like, where are we going to be in, 10 years? And in my mind, we're holding hands, eating cupcakes and punchki. So that's basically...
Oh, perfect.
Right?
And Danishes, right?
Oh, the whole 9 yards, man. I'm all for it.
All right. So what are we talking about today? Back to business. So we're talking about Batman, of course, the Batman, the movie itself, and other stuff like reworking archetypes and the whole mystery of balancing cards. And because you ask us about balance almost every week, and every week we say that I'm not the balance team, so you can't really ask me. But if you want to go into details about how everything works, we can talk about the details, how the process works. That's easy. And then probably you and me will have some cool ideas when it comes to balance. I have some ideas for sure, especially that I've been playing the game a little bit more than I have been in the past couple months. So yeah, we got those.
That's the thing, right? Because we say it all the time. Don't ask us about balance. We're not the balance team. It's kind of
against the tide.
It's such a loaded question when someone's like, "How do you balance this?" Because that if we give a solution to something or a suggestion for something, it's going to get absolutely eviscerated by everybody, and they'd be like, "Oh, they're so dumb." Well, don't ask us. That's the whole point. It's like you play in Major League Baseball or not, or nobody's gonna call you up to go hit a home run, and if you strike out, get mad at you. It's like, why couldn't you go? Because that's not what I do. That's not my thing. It's not our thing. So don't criticize us if our ideas are bad, because we have told you many times that this isn't our thing. But before we get to that, it is time for the Dagon rumor report, Mr. Pavel Burza.
So the reason we were off last week, of course, is because you and I were actually spending a week on a very enlightening spirited quest. So we're getting enlightened, where the visions we had clue us clued us into the fate and destiny of Dagon. So, a giant butterfly with wings of fire descended upon us through the glow of the moon and whispered in our ear, "He isn't happening."
Yes. How spectacular is that? I every week I try to get more and more ridiculous in how I write these. I think we've been to the moon. We've had like the UN science department kind of figure
You're really
stuff out.
like,
yep. We've gone to the
you
Council
really make
of
those
Elrond.
up so well. It's very hard to read them always. Like, what? Oh, okay.
That's why I like to do them the morning of, because I don't ever want you to go to the script and just kind of clue in.
And be ready for it.
It's a journey for you as well.
Yes. Yes.
And a part
that
of this
also answers the question we had by Alice the Thunderbirds about why Dagon won't ever return. So okay, shed some more light. Yeah, we just shed some more light on that, right?
We did through the glow of the moon. We just talked about it a second ago. Poor you. Sorry, Ellis. I know that Dagon is something that you're always talking about. Ellis is somebody who, I mean, by now everybody knows. Like, it's amazing how sometimes you don't have to stream, you don't have to be a competitor, but you can be a very impactful member of the community. And Ellis has been there essentially from the start. Ellis was one of my first people who, when I was streaming, would be there every day to support me, and I owe her immense amounts of love and appreciation, because she has been there since day one to just keep me basically on the rails. She's just a wonderful human being, and unfortunately we have to do this and say, can you shed some light on why Dagon won't ever return, pretty please? She asked, and the answer right there is probably a big fat hard no. I think is what
I don't know. To be honest, there are a couple of reasons, but I can't really get into them. But maybe he will return one day.
Oh man,
who knows? Who knows?
But for now, the percentage is still at
you gotta keep you on your toes,
I guess. So there, hopefully that answers your question. I know it doesn't, Ellis, given the fact that literally Pavel said that he can't say certain things. But
that makes it even more mysterious now.
Well, that's it. So the mystery itself should be the journey. Like, it's not about Dagon. It's about the mystery of Dagon. So.
Exactly. That's what keeps us fueled. Like the whole process about asking about him and coming up with funny ways why he's not coming. So why he's not here yet. And then one day he just appears out of nowhere and everybody's like, oh my God, really? It happened. Oh my God. So we don't know. Maybe not.
Here is exactly my thoughts on this, because I've been given a little bit of thought about this.
Oh
yeah. I
hot take.
I believe that Dagon is kind of being held in the back pocket for when you guys need like a major splash to be made. Like, for instance, let's put it this way. Here's a nice little comparison. Right now, and everybody knows my affection for wrestling and the spectacle of wrestling. Right now, AEW, which is like sort of the upstart from a few years ago, that's now challenging the WWE as like the premier place to watch and consume wrestling. Right now, AEW is like on fire, and WWE is about to have their WrestleMania, and there's no interest in it at all because of all this crappiness of that company. So what did they do? They went to their wild card, their ace in the hole back pocket emergency response, which was to get Stone Cold Steve Austin back.
Ooh.
So he's coming back. So I feel like Dagon,
that's a blast from the past.
It is, but like
I even remember him, and I wasn't a fan of wrestling.
But that's how iconic he was. But he has not stepped inside a ring for so many years. He has been an iconic presence amongst.
Is he still like in shape and keeping going?
Yeah. I mean, he had neck injuries for a while, and that's why he left. He has an immensely successful podcast. He doesn't get sponsored by Blue Jeans, but like, let's be real.
Of course. Come on.
But I believe that that's what it was, is that like Dagon is like Stone Cold, where they're like, okay, when we need a guaranteed home run, we're going to slam this down. So that is my thoughts about it, is that Dagon is like
our Stone Cold.
He is your Stone Cold. So
man, he looks good still. I just had to Google it and double check. Dude looks good.
He stays in shape. Like, he has what he calls the Broken Skull Ranch, which is like when he retired, he has a ranch, and he lives in Texas, and his podcast, the Broken Skull Sessions, is incredibly good, because Stone Cold is a very well-spoken individual. Like, his character that he played is not too far-fetched from where he was, but he has always been an absolute assassin on the microphone.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I learned something new today. I didn't even know that. Now I need to check it out. Now I'm intrigued.
So if you want like a 30-second just sort of primer for what this is, basically there's a wrestler by the name of Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is actually from Montreal, like from my hometown, and he adopted the finishing move that Stone Cold made famous called the Stunner. Everybody knows what the Stunner is, but Kevin Owens started using it with Stone Cold's permission. But now, again, to sort of start a feud and kick up interest in WWE, Kevin Owens called out Stone Cold Steve Austin because WrestleMania, I think, is in Texas. So they're like, all right, let's bring back, Texas chosen son, and made a fight and whatever. Anyway, long story short.
That's really cool.
There it is. There it goes. So
learn something new every day.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the Wayback Machine there, Pavel Burza. I got a couple, 3 of them right here. 2020, this week, 2 years ago, yeah. Gwent Masters was postponed, and we have not really recovered from that postponement, frankly.
Yeah, postponed due to what's happening with all the COVID situation around the world. Man, it was crazy. It was crazy. I remember we were trying to push it last minute just for the event to happen. Like, I think we mentioned this on previous podcasts a couple times, that even, to a point where you guys were almost about to go and get on the plane, and we were like, sorry, nope.
Turn
around. We're not doing it. And then it was postponed. Yeah, it sucks because we had a whole venue booked for it, really awesome studio. It was all supposed to happen and be amazing, cool, great, and have everybody, come together once again and do like a proper like Masters with all the confetti and all the cool stuff. And it was supposed to be like a full-on esports event in the esports studio, but then everything happened in the world as it did, and we had to stop everything. It's good we stopped, because if we flew you guys over here, most of you won't probably able to get out of the country, right?
I would have been there. Here. I would have been there for. I think I would have been there for several months.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have been incredible. Like, I think when the next time that they actually kind of loosened the lockdowns and it opened up travel a little bit more was like several months later, like half a year later. Not to mention, I would have been that's when I would have been in a hospital in Poland, because that's when I got sick, was in June. So I would have flown out in March. I would have been stuck there throughout. I would have still been in Poland because I would have been there. Yeah, it would have been that would have been a fascinating experience.
That would be crazy.
Well, it was almost like I was in Poland. The hospitals here have literally 50% of the nursing staff are Polish people.
Polish.
Oh, and it was amazing. I mean, there's a huge Polish community here in my neighborhood, and the hospital that I was staying at, it's good that the nurses are Polish because they're able to speak with a lot of the patients. But man, it was great because you could hear them. I would hear them speaking, and then I would just answer to them things or crack a joke, and they'd be like,
"Not expect that."
Yeah. And then you could see them on Zoom, yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh no. It's like, yeah, I got you, bitch. So
didn't expect that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was
dirty secrets. I know everything. I can hear everything.
Well, I mean, at that point, when full body paralysis and the nurse has to take care of you, there were no secrets to be had. It was they knew every little square inch of me, so there was nothing, no secrets held back while I was there. Oh yeah. 2019, Gurnikora wins the Leader Challenge, and
wow.
I wanted to bring this up because for the reason that Leader Challenges and Faction Challenges have gone the way of the dodo, and I know we've talked about this before, but do you think that this is ever going to be something that comes back? And
hard to say.
Yeah,
hard to say. They don't know how. To be honest, they don't know how to bring them back to make them I feel that because there was once put pressure to make them better, make them cooler, or something like that we put on ourselves. We never knew how to bring them back, and every time we discuss how to bring them back, I'm just saying let's just bring them back, and then everybody's like, no, but we need to make them better, and then nothing happens. And it's like a vicious circle of, we need to make them better, but we don't know how, so let's just bring them back. No, we need to make them better, and the circle completes itself.
Oh no. Definitely, absolutely, definitely.
I don't know.
It's tough because it's the concept of itself is cool, but the unintended consequences typically are negative effects. What I've always thought about was, all right, the way you're essentially incentivizing people to play the faction that's the strongest, which further narrows the meta, and then if you incentivize that, then the meta becomes a lot more bland, even in casual mode. And the rewards for playing that faction. If you win that faction challenge, then there's a bonus for playing that faction, and that was the original way, which further incentivized people even after the event to continue playing that faction. And if you did it the opposite way, which I think is what happened, was the least popular faction got a boost, then everybody played that faction. So it was a really difficult balancing act to create this kind of competition, but ultimately keep a healthy meta, which was hard to establish as well. Like it just seemed like it was a I thought it was a really good idea, but it was the unintended consequences and how it sort of rippled into the meta that really kind of made it a little bit meh.
Yeah. Nothing I can add from me. Just like I wish they kind of come back, and some that's because I know like players would like to have them back. Maybe it will happen. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to push that to actually for them to make a comeback. Like I mean we did something similar not that quite long ago, as we did the love event a little bit, but it was more connected, like more similar to the Salvin event that we did, that you choose pretty much a side when it comes to completing quests, but you can complete the quest for the remaining ones and just get the goodies for all of them. It's not like, because for OG leader challenges, like they would be actually pitted against each other, and based off of that we would see like which one won, and then we have the percentages and the stuff in the game. And I think that the competitive nature of it in some way, depending on who you support, kind of gave players the kind of the possibility to identify with a faction, or identify with a leader, or identify with whatever. And here this is like kind of something that is missing from it.
So 2018 rolls around, my man. We're still going back. This is the last one. But
Whoa.
Burza does an Ask Me Anything back on the Gwent forums. And the reason why I pulled this one up was very much the more things change, the more they stay the same situation, because I was going through some of the questions that were asked, and it's all the same. It's just cut, paste, name of card. And the same. It's, why is this in the game? It's so toxic. It's so this. It's so that. And then it's all... It's all the same. It's all
questions about fixing coin flip was my favorite, because coin flip was a thing at that time. Why else? Why are spores still in the game?
Will you guys ever
swim doing balance for us?
Yeah.
Like those were good questions.
And then again, will you ever make this or this card or this archetype playable? Blah
Always.
blah blah. Like it's funny because it's all the same issues. So. I bring this up because these are important issues and whatever. I mean, minus the like, can swim balance the game or whatever, and or whoever else can Shinmiri balance the game, or can whoever else balance the game or whatever. Like if you want one person to balance the game, go for it, and then you can all send your next week's hate mail to that person, because because that person is going to come under fire, which is again leads into kind of what we're talking about, balance and such. But ultimately, it's just funny that the same concerns, but it's not like it's a concern wherein, okay, this has been a problem for 4 years that you guys have not addressed. It's the fact that the overall aura of this problem of X card being not somebody's favorite becomes a constant topic and poke. Like if it's not in this case, in this case it was spores, but it's like, all right, let's remove spores. Let's put Yen's Invocation. Let's remove Yen's Invocation. Let's put Milva. Let's remove Milva. Let's put Gurnakora or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's remove Gurnakora. Let's put Madoc. Like it's the same thing. That it's the only thing that changes is the key.
Is the name of the card.
Yeah, the key in which the song is sung it changes, but that's.
But isn't it like that in every CCG? Like, I mean, I'm still following what's going on in Magic, and Magic recently got a very good and much needed ban on Luris. It was one of the companions that was used in most of the decks, and it was just some decks were just driving him because it just made a sense to have him there. And companions were a great mechanic that MTG wanted to do properly, but then they introduced them and they didn't do them too properly. And then they did an errata for them that you could not play it instantly from outside the game on the battlefield. You can buy it into your hand and then play it once again, and that was supposed to balance it. But still, Luris was broken and bonkers. So after the community like started complaining, they finally saw, oh, maybe this actually is a problem, and this card is enabling decks which normally would not be played. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. So I mean, you always will get something in any CCG where people are saying this card is not okay. And for the development team, depending on which development team for which card game it is, they were either implemented very quickly or they will wait and look at data and then after some time decide that maybe it's time. But it's very hard to pick what you're going to balance and what you're going to ban in this case and what you're not going to balance or ban. So it's a fine line to get it like perfectly, because sometimes it can be just people complaining about stuff which actually you look at raw data and playability, it's like, well, this is not really a problem. Or maybe it's a problem, but it's on lower ranks. Or maybe it's only a problem on the higher ranks and most of the player base doesn't see it. So, I mean, there's so much variability that goes into this.
And what's fascinating here is that you want to talk about like balance problems. So Lurus was cost 3, and then they essentially doubled the cost of it. So for all of you out there who might not know Magic, imagine you take a card with a provision of, let's say, 8, and it's strong. Now imagine taking that card and making it provision 16, and it's still busted to hell. That's how
people play it.
Yeah, that's how busted that card was. And then
it's neutral and you can play it in any deck.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
to even add more to it, right?
Yeah. So think about it in that regard in terms of like the most busted card. So next time somebody yen invos your Melusine, just remember that there's a card out there that was like the equivalent of like 20 provisions, and it was still way too strong. So all right. That was basically what was going on. But again, more things change, more things stay the same. But it was a nice little glimpse into the past in terms of what the concerns were back then. And the most important one that I pulled out of there was the fact that there was this discrepancy between red and blue coin going first, going second, because at the time there was no stratagems, right?
Yeah, stratagems pretty much solved that issue for us, because the player that was less incentivized had the possibility as going first. So so pretty much when you go first here, if you're playing against someone who can abuse the red coin, you were always you feel like you had a deficit. And when we looked at data, there was some data actually showing that is a problem. But then the fix of actually adding the stratagem solved that for us. It made things so much easier and simpler in terms of balancing. So we instantly jumped on that train, and that's how it's been from that point on, which is awesome.
Love it. All right, so I saw the Batman. I know that you're a big Batman fan, and
I also saw it. It's good.
All right, we're going to preface this with also the fact that there are no spoilers. We're not going to spoil this movie because that's not what we do. Some of the most hated people in my life, I don't hate anybody, but the people that I do have a lot of disdain for are the ones who spoil things. So do not think that this is what this is going to be. Nonetheless,
no spoilers here.
The Batman. Robert Pattinson as the Batman. I am not a Batman fan, never was, but I am now sold on his portrayal of the Bat.
Amen.
So I'm going to give my brief little non-spoilerish review.
Okay.
And then you can give yours, and we can just dig in a little bit more. So again, preface this. You see on the back wall here, it's all Spider-Man, Marvel, Spider-Man in general. He is my all-time favorite comic book character. But the reason why I never liked the Batman, I the movies were entertaining, but I never connected with the hero. I never really felt like there was much motivation. And they even Christian Bale's Batman, I'm like, I really didn't buy that there was much motivation for him to go out there and do what he did. But in terms of Robert Pattinson's portrayal of Batman was incredible. He was so haunted. He was so man, I wrote this down earlier and I can't, but he was just this he was like this ghost. He was this figure, this imposing visage of just, like he said, like, I'm vengeance. Like, he is out there because it is his outlet to get through whatever awful grief that he's dealing with, Like, you felt that there was this longing for him to make penance for something that he doesn't necessarily have any control over, but you felt that there was sincere turmoil within him that he could only satisfy or get through by being Batman and by essentially going out there and doing Batman things. The movie itself was more of a detective style thriller and suspense movie, and I appreciated that. It wasn't your typical popcorn style superhero movie of beat up the bad guy. But I will say this, and in the same way that there was a lot of hate that went towards Heath Ledger's selection as the Joker, and we saw how that turned out, Robert Pattinson as the Batman has me immensely enthralled in that character now, and I am just aching to see more movies. And this is coming from somebody who had no interest in Batman despite consuming all Batman stuff. I am sold, and I think that his portrayal is so haunting and so unique, and I am all about it.
For me, okay, you want to go?
Yeah, go for it.
For me, to be honest, this is the Batman that people were supposed to kind of see. I think we've been stuck in an era for too long where Batman is this billionaire philanthropist, and we kind of see him not at the early stage of his life when he's still trying to figure a lot of stuff, where he's actually dealing with the grief, where he's also trying to find a place in the city which he cannot really fix, but he needs to be there in order to take control and kind of to all the negativity and all the bad stuff, all the violence, the killings, the destruction that is happening within the city. Like, he's trying to find his place in it, and I think that Pattinson did this perfectly. And he played them in a way that he's very rough around the edges, and that's how the early Batman was. And he was very dark, especially in some of the comic portrayals there. And yeah, he was supposed to be. He was like a real Dark Knight here, and he was. I mean, there are some scenes that show it so perfectly. There are some scenes which are so well artistically done, and some which are, ones that you would see in any Batman movie. But he's trying to they're trying to take the character to him being portrayed as actually, this, there is this darkness like bellowing inside him, and I think none of the previous ones were really like trying to show it. Maybe Affleck a little bit, but in a little bit kind of, but still that's not comparable to what was done here. Like even if we talk about like the Dark Knight, which was by Christian Bale, that one was already very, very dark, but I think they just took it another notch in terms of like visuals, but also the character development throughout the story, the supporting characters there, which were also done amazing, and the storyline and the script. Whoever came up with the script, like, the movie is 3 freaking hours long, and I did not feel those 3 hours. I went out of the cinema like, wait, it's been 3 hours, really?
Yeah,
I did not feel it totally.
And like you mentioned, like Ben Affleck's portrayal, I liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was okay. I thought he was not bad, and I know that he doesn't care too much about being Batman. Like, he's not really into it, but I thought it was all right. But I felt like the motivation and the driving force behind Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne was this like connection to the city, and how Superman destroyed the city at one point while fighting Zod, and all of a sudden, he had this whole like, no, this is my city, like, I run this place. However, Robert Pattinson's Batman was more, I feel, more selfishly driven. It was more so he did what he did, not necessarily for the good of the city, but it was a way for him to deal with his own issues and his own demons. And it was like a penance, and he goes through hell, and you see it because, like, there's that scene, where he comes back and he's like bruised up, and you just see his body like beaten to hell. And I feel like he does what he does purely from this like self-punishing way. And I liked it because there was this masochism to him of, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to get, and like, it was gritty as hell. And what I appreciate about this was also what I kind of appreciated to a degree about Daniel Craig's Bond, is that they didn't give him that kind of plot armor
superhero,
or Casino Royale. You see Daniel Craig's Bond get the crap kicked out of him, and
which is awesome.
Yeah, which is great. It shows that there's vulnerability there, and they're not invincible. And in this case, it's the same thing. And the way that the movie was paced, like you said, it did not feel like 3 hours. Every scene felt relevant, and there was a lot of information that you needed to digest, but it all comes sort of spiraling into this one focal point that you're like, wow, like I need more of this. And when you see the Riddler develop and you're like, okay, like it's first of all, it was scary. Like it was a
Good.
genuinely scary villain. And when you see what he comes to and some of the twists and turns that are being taken and how the Riddler erodes Batman's kind of, and Robert Pattinson's patience, his resolve, his focus, it was masterful in terms of that dichotomy between villain and hero. And like I said, just the best analysis that I had was that, they're like Bruce Wayne with the bat suit on is more true than Bruce Wayne when he's cleaned up wearing a suit out in public. Like that was the mask, like Robert Pattinson's mask was him playing Bruce Wayne. When he's in the Batcave with his his
beautiful scene.
Yeah, like where he's just getting work done, and like they're like, that's who he is. When he's out there cleaned up to meet people, that's the mask, that's the portrayal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where he feels most vulnerable when he does. It's a place, actually, because also when you were talking about it, shows him at a different place in the timeline, because this is early Bruce Wayne. In a sense that he's in his 20-something still. So the part about him grieving the loss of his parents and also trying to figure out how he can fix the city and somehow is these are new things, and he's obsessed with it. He's like maniacally obsessed with it. He's driving, like you said, he's very masochistic. He's working long nights. You can tell like he's super tired. His body is destroyed, and they're showing like his back being pretty much, cut up and stuff like that. That already like shows you this is a different type of Batman than the one that you would see in all the other movies, because in all of those he's already developed. He's an older guy. He already has full grasp on Wayne Enterprises. He's already keeping the business going, has full control out of that. He goes to parties, he goes to all these like mayoral stuff. And here he's at the beginning of this journey and everything's kind of in shambles. He's neglecting his Bruce Wayne past and this thing that came from his parents and how to take over this whole thing. He's focused on just being vengeance. He's like, and I mean, it's so good. It's so good. And the casting, I think, is awesome. And I also want to highlight here Zoe Kravitz as Selena. Incredible. Super well done. Oswald Cobblepot, I actually had to check this. It was Colin Farrell, but I could not recognize him for anything. But the way he played the character was so good. And I'm talking about how the body language and how he spoke and kind of how he was portrayed here was so good. It was such a good Penguin. And don't even start me at Paul Dano or Dano as the big bad guy. I mean, it's just they were so well cast and they did such an amazing job, and they were gritty and dark, and it's everything that I love about the Batman and everything that I loved about the comics. Less superhero. Oh, I'm here to save the day. I'm Batman. I'm incredible. I'm gonna destroy you. And I pretty much can get rid of the whole Justice League because I'm super smart. No, this is the Batman that is dark, gritty, trying to figure stuff out. He is still a detective. He's working closely with Jim Gordon. What's his name? With Gordon, right? And this is what I love about Batman. These are all the things that I think the movie did him like 100% justice.
I have to give more props to, I think his name is Jeffrey Wright, the actor who plays Jim Gordon, because everything I've seen him in, is absolutely just remarkable in terms of how he was. He's in the Bond, like in the Bond series, like the Daniel Craig Bond series. He's in those movies. Him in Casino Royale, I loved. He was in, I believe he was in Boardwalk Empire, which I loved him in. And now he's playing Jim Gordon. Everything that he touches, he's just this masterful,
Turns it to gold.
He's incredible. And like you said, Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Like, again, I knew that he had been cast as the Penguin, but again, when you're watching it, I'm like looking for little recognizable little tidbits of Colin Farrell within the Penguin character, and I'm like, I can't spot him in there. That's just the Penguin.
Same.
He's taking this like Al Capone style portrayal of the Penguin, which is brilliant. And a couple of weeks ago, I watched the movie The Gentleman. I think it's a Guy Ritchie movie, which he's in that too. And dear Lord, is he good, man? Like he's incredible. So good.
He has a very like wide like plethora in terms of like how like some actors, they can go from, you know, doing one thing to doing something totally different. They can change the way they speak, the way they do their body language. You can do anything. It's just incredible how you can change to such an extent. I know it also takes a toll on them because they really get into character and they prepare for this. But, you know, and then I also like when you listen into a lot of these, it's very hard to then readjust from being the character and going back to being yourself, and then you're kind of questioning, then who the hell was I before I did this? It's a whole kind of like mental adjustment to the whole thing. But not only mental, like you adjust everything from the way you talk, from the way you behave, from your body language, everything. You just need to change everything about yourself. It's so incredible. Like, it's very hard to be yourself already, but try to be someone else to such an extent.
Daniel Day-Lewis, I think, is very famous as being one of those method actors who, from day one of the set, you know, of beginning principal photography of a movie to the point where it wraps, he is that character. Like, and he's very, and there's a reason why he has like 3 or 4 Oscars, you know, Best Actor Oscars to his name, is because he's
not surprised.
He's the best. And just what, like this movie, like I said, I have never. The Dark Knight, I think, was an outlier for me because I was like, this is just a brilliant movie through and through. But ultimately, I don't think I've ever really said, I'm like, I if there's a Batman movie on TV, like I'll watch it passingly, but I don't go out of my way to watch it. But this is something where the second that it's out, I'm gonna just sit down and rewatch because it is, like you said,
same.
Even some of the artistic ways that they showed, like there's that. This is not a spoiler, but there's that scene where he's in that tunnel and the only light you get is from the machine gun flashes. That scene,
so incredible.
Oh my god, I was there. I was like, oh, this is just, and it's not even like an important scene, but it's a brilliant portrayal of just the sort of danger and grittiness of what that character is going through.
I also like, also without spoilers, just when someone who hasn't watched the movie, when you watch it for the first time, when you see him first time in the suit, I think that's one of the best. For me, it's one of the most iconic ways of showcasing Batman going in and emerging from darkness. I know every movie does this.
God.
But when I saw that one, I pretty much had goosebumps all over because it was so good, so well done.
The lead up to that scene where there was basically crime everywhere, but everyone's aware that there's this danger lurking, and that's the aura of you know, that he has essentially descended upon Gotham, and that is the impact that he has. The impact is not that Batman will be there to stop you; it's that Batman might be there to stop you.
Yes,
and that's
just the sheer thought of him, like he might be there, he might be not there, but you see them, like you're looking around, maybe you have to double think every action that you do because something might actually happen to you, and you see it done so well. And it also showcases the city in a very good way because it showcases that there is crime everywhere. It just gets dark, everybody comes out, all the bad guys are there, and you know they're wreaking havoc, but something can happen, you know.
So for those who are not fans of superhero movies or whatever, take it as it being, this movie being just a very dark and gritty Zodiac-esque style murder, like serial killer mystery style movie of detectives hunting down. Like if you enjoy the movie Zodiac with Robert Downey Jr., then this is akin to that, and you're gonna love it. So yeah, we I don't want to say we went off the rails here because this was the rails, but we definitely took this train to the last station here as we're running out of time for this segment. But we'll so the balances that we wanted to talk about, we'll just go into that next week. We'll talk really deep and hard and heavy.
I think we got this one perfectly.
Yeah. The other thing that honestly has been on the script for about 3 weeks now that we haven't talked about, is plays of the week. And every time I'm doing research for the Wayback Machine, I always come upon your videos that used to have a plays of the week. I was on a play of the week or a plays of the month or something way back when, where I dropped back when Maruna was Succubus, and Succubus would play on your side, and if it survived 2 turns, it would steal your opponent's highest unit. Best card, loved it. I made a play of the week on that. Anyway, long story short is this is something that I would love to bring back on this show. I think that would be something really cool if you and I could just get submissions of people's clips of their plays, and we could just pick like 1 or 2 every week to be like, here's the most
like the good old days.
Yeah, the most awesome play of the week, and here's the most hilarious play of the week. Yeah. So this is our call out to everybody who's listening. If you guys have a clip of a really awesome play, we will put it up here as being like the play of the week. We'll give you all the credit in the world. Yep. So send them over to myself or Pavel on Twitter or Discord or however you want it. Give us a link to the Twitch clip or the whatever, and or the YouTube thing, and we'll definitely give you a little bit of spotlight, because that's something I think that should come back. I love plays of the week. I love highlights, and you know that there's a lot of cool nasty thing. And don't send us like a scorch of like you're scorching 3 or 4 things. I've seen that 80,000 times.
Yeah, that's me.
It's cool. Yeah, but you don't even know what Scorch does, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know what Scorch does. Who am I to even know what Scorch does?
Who are you? Pavel Burza?
Who are you? Imposter.
Yeah. Been there with Gwent for like 6 or 7 years. Who are you, man?
Yeah. Who are you? I don't know, man. I don't know. They put me here by mistake. What am I even doing here?
What are you doing here?
It's good we have the podcast. At least that's working for me.
Listen, this is how at least I stay somewhat relevant, because I don't stream anymore. So people are like, "Who the hell is this clown?" I'm just waiting for that who the who question.
No, they know you. They know you. They know you. They know you from all the esports events. So you're here to stay.
Here to stay. So. No Babcia Marysia Polish word of the week this week because my mom, my mom was, she was in Florida for a bit, and she was traveling home and stuff like that, so I didn't want to bother her. So no Polish word of the week, but I can give you a Babcia Marysia story of the week if you want. All right,
let's go.
All right, here's the story. So Babcia Marysia, my Babcia, she had a garage sale once because she wanted to raise money for the church, but my Babcia she doesn't necessarily have a real concept of what things are worth. So she had all kinds of stuff, and like some of old bikes that like my cousin and I used to have there that we were too small for us or whatever. So she went inside, again, you can guess why, to cook food, and she left me responsible for stuff. And there was this dude who comes by, and he's like, oh, and there was like 3 bikes that are out there, and these are not like amazing bikes. They're old bikes that need some cleanup and whatever. And so he shows up and he's like, "Hey, how much for those bikes?" And I was like, "I don't know." I'm like, $20 each, I think is fair. Like you probably need to maybe like clean up the chains or like pump the tires, but they work. They're bikes. Yeah. He's like, "All right, no worries. I'm gonna go." He's like, "I'm right down the street. I'm gonna go at my truck and I'll come pick them up or whatever." I said, "Yeah, no worries." Yeah. So my Babcia comes out and she's like, "Oh, food's ready." I said, "Great." So I go inside and the guy comes back and I noticed that he's like talking to my Babcia, and my Babcia's like getting annoyed. And I come out, I'm like, "My Babcia, what's going on?" She's like, "Oh, this man, he want spend $20 for bike. What? That's crazy. He's crazy." I'm like, Babcia. I'm like, "I sold the bikes for $20. No, you crazy now. This bike, $200. I'm like, "What?" So there's this 3 of us all being like, "What the hell's going on?" I'm like, "Babcia, the bike was like $79.99 at Walmart like 10 years ago. There's no way you're selling it for $200. It's for church. It's for children." I'm like, "Yes, but these bikes are also for children." I'm like, "Babcia, take the $60 for the 3 bikes.
Yeah.
Trust me, otherwise
That's already $60 for the church. That's still pretty good.
$60 for the church. And the best part about that whole thing is when someone would like, she'd have all her stuff outside, and there'd be like this vase or like this lamp, and then someone would come in and like, oh, like looks at the lamp. How much for this lamp? $5. Okay, no problem. Lady pulls out the purse and she's like, actually, you know what? I keep. And she just puts it back in the house. I'm like,
oh, gotta love that.
Dear Lord. I'm like, okay, all right, you do, you
gotta
Babcha.
love that.
She's like, and then after that, I'm like, Babcha, I'm like, half the stuff, you decided to keep. Well, if they want it, clearly it's valuable, it's good, it's very nice, I'm like, okay, Babcha, whatever you want. Like, it's all good.
So beautiful. So beautiful.
Yeah. So no Polish word of the week. I mean, there was a lot of English Babcia Marysia words of the week that we could have thrown, like, you crazy. Oh my God. So that's it. That's our Babcia Marysia story of the week, I guess we can drop in.
Aw.
Yep.
Good one.
She was ruthless. She would have been all over the stock market if she could. Absolutely. Buy low, sell high, but if someone wants to buy, you take it back anyways, and then call them crazy. That's her stock advice. The real wolf of the Polish Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street, Babcia Marysia, yeah.
Oh man,
confirmed.
Ah boy, she would see you and be like, "You too skinny." She'd feed the hell out of you. And then she'd call your Babcia, and then they would have discussions as to the best way to feed you. So.
Totally. Yeah, they're all about the food. It's something that I always remember about my Babcia, that would get fed all the time, and also a lot of life lessons. Some of them, to be quite honest, the older I get, I kind of think that they made a lot of sense. So yeah, I'm totally have always a high respect and regard for her, and when it comes to all these things. So she always gave me good advice and stuff like that. Sometimes she fell kind of out of tune in terms of like what's going on, but still, I appreciated kind of the concern and the time that she always, put into these things. So shout out to her.
Yeah.
Wherever she is right now.
Babcias are all vaults of recipes and wisdom and
amen
and love. All right, friends, that's the first segment. We are going to come back with the return of the question and answer period. We fielded a whole bunch of your questions, and yes, a lot of them were balance related. And are we going to talk about them? Absolutely not.
All right, welcome back to the mailbag, or the Q&A, as everyone knows it. But here we have been collecting your questions as always, and we'll be answering them with Flake. And I will start us off with the first one by Summer, aka at Serene Shirin. Hopefully I didn't mess that up.
Serene
Who would
Shireen,
win in a fight?
Yeah.
Shireen, thank you. Who would win in a fight? Dagon versus Renfrey versus one of each token, premium, of course. That's a nice way to slide in the premium tokens. Gotta slide it in.
That's why I put it in there. That's why I put it in there. Because a lot of people think that we just skim over any of the questions that, first of all, again, we answer these every week. We get the same questions, and that's why when people are like, "You don't even answer my question," well, because we answered it 900 times is one of them. I actually had somebody reply to a Reddit post from 4 weeks ago, literally 4 weeks ago, regarding somebody asked the question about faction ambassadors. Remember? And we did a whole freaking episode about faction ambassadors. And yesterday,
and the question came back.
Yeah, that person replied, "Oh, I guess you're never gonna answer my question. I knew it." I'm like, dude. We did a whole episode about it, you doofus. Like, what's wrong with you?
Watch the episode. That's the most important thing. Watch the episode before you ask the question once again.
Okay, so Dagon versus Renfrey versus one of each token. Again, I'm not a lore person, so I'm merely going by the fact, like, in terms of tokens, like, there's, like, Witcher student tokens, there's drones, fire swarms, there's tree ants. What other tokens are there? Like, rats, I guess.
Yeah. But lots of elf tokens, lots of firesworn tokens, all the I think there's some wild hunt. No, there's no wild.
The dryads, the little dryads.
Dryads, yes.
So if you had one of each of those, and they're all premium, like imagine they're all life size. Like what's the most dangerous thing out of all of that? I would imagine it's like a tree ant, like a big tree ant, but it's not even a tree ant. It's like a baby tree ant in the picture. It's a token.
Yeah.
So
a small one.
Is that good enough to beat Renfrey, and I don't know much about Renfrey, but I don't.
Renfrey probably yes. If they all ganged up on Renfrey, I think they would have they have a chance. But Dagon, I don't think so. He's a god. Like it's very hard to go against him in this case, and he's huge.
Yeah. What would you do? Like,
Yeah.
Dagon would just probably absolutely obliterate the entire field. It'd be like, you know what? Throw Renfrey in with all the tokens, and it's not even a fair fight then. Like, so I guess this is an easy answer. It's Dagon by a mile.
Yeah, Dagon for sure. Dagon. I mean, he's a god, so he will just pretty much destroy all the little tokens. And Renfrey, I think, also wouldn't have a chance. I mean, she would have to have some incredible ability in order to destroy him or find a weak point or something like that. But it's pretty much, it's like going against the worst boss in Elden Ring. You're pretty much screwed as a one-person army.
Yeah, if when we're doing the review, it'd be Dagon in the first round at like 12 seconds by knockout, by complete obliteration. The knockout would be so big he would just punch them into dust. Is essentially what happened. Next question from John Trunk at Trunkhouse on Twitter, asking, "What are some of your favorite voice lines from Gwent? I think Bride of the Sea is especially well done. Thanks."
Ooh, there's a lot of I don't know. I always loved the Nausicaa George. Those are funny. All the ones. All the ones that despise humans, like Danka being super aggressive. What was her? Oh, Malena also has one of those crazy voice lines on her card. That's also a favorite of mine. I love Simlis recently, especially with him saying after 2,000 centuries, you act like you're barely one, and you're like he's so like talking about humanity as being on the world for such a long time, but still being so retarded, kind of showing that elves are kind of we're here, humans are here. Always love these comparisons.
It's like you're going into the more like lore heavy and that. I'm just thinking about what sounds the most ridiculous sometimes, and like Nilfgaard voice lines are always so dramatic. They're so like poignant and piercing and like the Alba, and there's a lot of arrogance to them. I one of my favorite voice lines, which I used to, when I'd stream, I'd say it every time I heard it because it made me laugh, which was like, I forgot how it goes exactly, but it's something along the lines of like, you took my mushrooms again. Like, like I just love that one. They're like, you picked my mushrooms again. I was like, I love that one. It's just who is that? It's not the Crow Clan Preacher, is it? It's one of
the Skellige ones. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, it's one of the alchemy cards and whatever. But every time I'd hear that, I would just have to. I let that, or there was frig. I used to have it. I had the voice line as a command back when Harmony was there. Oh Lord, it was like no, like one of the dryads just being very sad about something. Oh man, Ellis is gonna kill me, Ellis the Thunderbird, because she would always be able to
point him out.
Oh no, I know what it is. No, let the doe live.
Ah yes, let the doe live.
I was like, yeah, that's hilarious. I'm like, just somebody so distraught about. I'm like, you're a dryad in a forest with things like the does have to die for food. I'm sorry, I don't know. I know.
Let the doe live. Oh, it's a good one.
Those were one of my favorites. That, and of course there's Francesca's meh. Like that was just it's a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah, those are they're all awesome, and I like that we put a lot of work into them to actually reflect the character, but also to be a little bit funny from time to time, and kind of tell you a little bit more about the character and kind of what stands about, giving some personality to the character.
The next one that's going to be my favorite is the one that I do, because
with the Larry voice.
When you guys finally print that gold plant, I want to do the voice for it. And I
know you do.
I insist. I absolutely insist. If there's any plant support, I want to be in there. I don't necessarily need my artwork on the card. That is reserved for Devil Driven. I stand by that. I think that he is the person who needs to get his face on a card. But I want to voice a card, so this is my formal application / petition to do so, Mr. Pavel.
I got it already. Easy.
All right. Next up, go for it.
Are there more wheels in the world or more doors in the world? Damn.
Oh, these are campfire discussions that are best done when you're like a 6-pack of beer in. These are my favorite. Yeah. Me and my buddies used to always have these silly conversations by the campfire when we'd go like up to my buddy's cabin by a lake. And again, like I said, you got to be like 3 beers greased in order to have like smart discussions about this, because if you are perfectly sober and focused, you'll just shut down this conversation within 5 seconds. But when you're just a little bit sauced, that's when the ideas start flowing. And I am so disappointed that people were downvoting this, and there's a reason why I put it up here, because I love this question. So your downvotes mean nothing to me. I will definitely pick this question.
So, I say doors, because looking into this household right here, I have 2 bikes and there's a shit ton of doors. That's 4 wheels and a shit ton of doors. And there's always more doors.
Yeah, I agree with you here. And the reason why, because I was like, yeah, but look at how many freaking cars there are. And then I'm like, wait a second. Cars have doors, so every car is basically scrubbing out itself as part of it. So I think you're right. I think it's doors, and this actually is. The reason I picked this is because I often have this debate with people and I said, do you think there are more toilets in the world or people? And this is a question, and I always say, like, think of every building, every hotel. Like, I get it. Every household probably the majority of households have way less toilets than people, but like on average. But think about every other establishment that has toilets that people don't live in. Hotels,
schools,
schools, stadiums, whatever.
Offices.
And it's like, I don't know. I am of the mentality that I believe there are more toilets than people in the world.
Oh, wow. Someone needs to keep track of this stuff. But I don't know. I would say, I don't know. I feel like there's more people than toilets, to be honest, because then you go into countries like, I don't know, that don't have, they don't have a toilet. People just shit outside. So, I mean, that's pretty much what you're...
I mean,
that's it. Like, there's nothing more there.
That's anywhere on St. Patrick's Day, though. Like, if you've ever been to downtown Montreal on St. Patrick's Day parade, oh my God, it is an absolute biohazard of grossness.
Same thing when you go to any running or cycling event where there's not enough porta potties for everybody that is supposed to be running. Like, let's say there's 10,000 people running a marathon, which is like normally what you get in Warsaw, at least 10,000. And there's like, 5 toilets? I mean, come on. That's not enough. But then you think about it, that all these people go home and they at least have 1 toilet there. That means that, it all adds up. But it also depends. There's so many things that we could go into here.
Right? Like, airplanes have toilets. Like, and nobody's living on those. I'm telling you, I strongly believe. Like, how many human beings are in the world? I'm gonna be generous and say, like, what, 8 billion? 8 billion in the world?
Something like that. Probably more.
Yeah, like, hey, I think that there's easily more toilets.
Someone should do statistics on this.
Yeah,
Someone
if you're listening, man.
Yeah.
Do like there's that subreddit, like, they did the math. Like, somebody go ahead and do the math on this. I say there's more toilets. I also say that there's more doors. So ornery machine.
Yeah, more doors for sure.
Yeah. So I got you. Ornery Machine 7150 on Reddit. I know you got downvoted for this question, but I'm picking you up because it's a pretty cool question. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we want.
This is a Flurza experience. We're not shy to talk about anything.
No, bring it up. And I know that there are a lot of people are like, I bet you won't answer this, and then we just answer it on the actual thread and be like, we're not wasting time on a show, but here's your answer, you doofus.
Go straight into it.
All right. Next one is from. You
have to read it and translate it.
I do. It's from Descari. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing this, but this is a gentleman who, or lady, or an individual who speaks French, and I promised that I would read this in French and answer in French. So the question is, mes questions sont, j'aimerais savoir pourquoi Dagon ne revient pas. Est-ce lié au copyright de Lovecraft? Et à quand le Golden Necker? Sinon, c'est tout. Je suis fan du jeu malgré le fait que ça fasse 5 mois que je ne suis pas actif à cause de mon travail. J'adore relire les livres, mais je déteste la série. Je n'ai pas pu commencer les jeux vidéo à cause de mon PC, and he goes on and on. Essentially, basically what he's saying here is he really wants to know why Dagon's not returning. Is it does it? And his guess is that it might be a copyright issue regarding Lovecraft. So there's your answer. The next thing he's asking is, hey, when can we expect Golden Necker? That's another question.
This year. I don't have a date because things are shifting a little bit in our release schedule. So what we maybe planned at the beginning might have changed a little bit. So I can tell you a little bit of that because I know I don't want to leave you without any information. But still scheduled to happen this year, of course, as we pointed numerous times. And yeah, I think that answers the question. Was there any other thing that I missed there? I don't think so.
No, he's just mentioning about how even though he hasn't been playing much lately due to like time constraints and stuff like that from work and whatever, he's still a huge fan and he really loves the books, and he's looking to eventually dive into the video games. And he says he absolutely adores the fan art that was submitted, and it's incredible how that happened. So
yeah, that's amazing.
À toi, mon ami, qu'est-ce que Pavel a dit, c'est que c'est pas à cause du copyright de Lovecraft. C'est pas la raison que Dagon n'est pas accessible présentement. Et Pavel a aussi dit que Golden Necker, ça va. C'est la seule chose qu'il peut nous dire, c'est que c'est cette année, ça va arriver, et malheureusement, il n'y a pas trop d'informations qu'il peut vous donner. So there you go. Thank you so much again.
Nice.
Hopefully, again, we're multicultural, multilingual here on the show. That's what we try to do.
Yeah,
so.
I just wanted also to add here that Dagon was in Witcher 1. So if it was something, copyright issue, like we would have to get rid of him from Witcher 1, and there's a quest that concentrates around Dagon there. So he's one of the bosses. So I that's for sure not the case here.
Cool. All right, next question, cool. Mr. Burza.
Here we go for a question for me this time. Why did Twig shift to an interview show? Will you be bringing back to short form Twig? We pretty much shifted to a interview show because I started doing them again from home. So I cannot, like previously when we had them, when we were working from the studio, was more and when I would just script an idea and we would book a recording session, go do the session, which took a little bit of time in order to get each of these episodes, especially if we were doing like a funny intro for it. So the time put into those made sense. And then when I started doing them from home, firing up a stream for 20 minutes of talking or 15 minutes or 12 minutes of talking, like most of the episodes were, felt like, like firing up a stream for 15 minutes, but doing like a interview with someone from the community made much more sense because I feel like we have a lot of new faces and a lot of streamers and content creators within Gwent itself that people should know more about. And if I can use this platform somehow to give them a little bit more recognition and give back a little bit more to the community, I want to more likely do that instead of just doing 10 minutes about what has happened in Gwent. And I also feel like the people who are consuming this content are fully aware of what's going on in Gwent throughout the week. And while it made sense in being a short YouTube thing, which was a little bit funny also, had some weird intros into it and kind of was like a very nice snippet of to what happened throughout the week. If you're someone who doesn't follow our social media, doesn't follow Reddit, you would likely consume that content and kind of just to know what's going on to be up to date with the game. While here, from home in the stream content, it just doesn't make sense to have it so short because 5 people will come and watch it and then they'll move on. Like you won't be even able to accumulate like viewers on these streams because you're on for such a short time that, around, let's say, if you do like 20 or 30 minutes, that's when you start getting more people to watch the whole thing. So there's like numerous reasons on why I decided to do it longer form. And yeah, we'll try to bring them back once everything, slows down in terms of what's going on in Ukraine next to us. So once that stuff kind of blows away a little bit, we'll be coming back to those for sure.
Cool. And in the meantime, we've got this, which is lovely little piece. All right. Last question. This one coming from Twist Marigold. I guess that's a little bit of a play on Tris Marigold, I guess, but
probably.
Question is, what is the best way to reach CDPR with suggestions for reworks, feedback on cards or archetypes, and reporting bugs and typos? Is it the official Gwent forums? Is it Reddit, Twitter, help desk? That is the question. How can we go ahead, and sort of give the feedback that's always flowing?
Just DM me. That's the best answer I can give. I mean, you can leave them on forums, but there's so much ideas on forums that I don't think anyone has the time to go through them. Your best case scenario is actually to send them to me via any DM. Don't post it and don't tag me, because people tag me on weird stuff and NFTs and other stuff like that, or any pop quizzes, or you can win a graphic card if you tag like 5 people, and people tag me on that. I'm like, why are you tagging me on that? It's like I'm like, my number of followers isn't that crazy, and it's not gonna get you that graphics card, so why me? Or on NFT related stuff, so which I don't care about much. So yeah, just DM me, send me a DM with your suggestions, ideas. I will share them with the balance team, and they will decide if they want to do something or not. If it's typos and stuff like that, for sure send them to me. I will pass them on to a localization team. It doesn't matter which language you send them in, I will pass it on to the person that handles that. So that's easy. But when it comes to reworks and card balance stuff, like, I can tell you already that the balance team, they might look into it, but most of it, when it comes to implementing, I don't think most of these things ever get implemented, because I think our balance team pretty much reworks stuff the way that they see it, based on data, and also based on how, what they want to do in terms of like keeping archetypes going, keeping the balance going, how the card compares to other cards which have similar abilities, are on similar power levels, have similar provision, power, stuff like that. So they know what they're doing. So I think the majority of I even talked with Malegian. He told me like the majority of the stuff that we get from community most of the time is not something that we can use, because they're pretty much, they're just some people's, wet fantasies in terms of what a card should be, and it never really applies to reality, because it would be just one card which is epic and it doesn't fit into anything else. And yeah, I know but some suggestions sometimes are super good. So it's a mixed bag of thing. But if you want your ideas heard, I think the best way is just send them to me. I will pass them on, and you can hold me to it.
Yeah, this is essentially, I think, going to be the topic of our next episode, right? Is like balances and balance changes.
Yeah, we can talk about balance. It's a great topic, and actually, I'll maybe try to get a guest on this one.
Oh, is it going to be Dr. Crotchet or whatever his name is, the guy who does all the Renfrey stuff? Because there was people who were like, they should get him to make cards, and I'm like, dear Lord, no. So many of those cards, if they were implemented, would just be so ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of fascinating ideas that can be, and there are a lot of great cards, but if you take everybody's idea and put it in a bag and jumbled it up, and whatever you pull out is going to look ridiculous. That said, a lot of people's ideas for things are typically, very often they are the result of a very small sample size of emotional response towards an experience that they had, of like, how many of them are like, this card is absolutely broken, Yen's Invocation is the most busted thing, and then it's like, okay, well, cut paste Yen's Invocation and slam in Heatwave, and cut paste that and put in Brothans, and cut paste that and put
King
in
of Beggars.
King of Beg.
It's whatever card you have problems with the current deck that you're running. I mean, no card is no. I mean, I love it that there's always this saying that almost every card dies to removal. So you can there is a counter for everything.
No,
but I mean, if your deck cannot counter it, no, that's wrong. It's that card's fault because I can't play around it. So
yeah,
I mean, you can play around it.
There was that ongoing Hearthstone meme forever where it's like a new card would be introduced and it's like, it's garbage, dies to Big Game Hunter. It's like, okay, it's like anything that had power 8 or greater was immediately unplayable because it died to a 3-drop, right? So like it was that became a meme like for a while there. But we'll have a whole episode where we'll talk
Magic
about
had
this.
the same thing. It was dice to lightning bolt.
Yeah.
If it's 3 power, dice to bolt, useless.
Useless dice to bolt. Exactly. That's kind of how it goes. It's just, which is eventually, that's where it comes down to, is just like these small emotional responses that eventually become parodies of themselves. But balance isn't easy, and this game and many.
It's difficult.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for another return to form episode of the Flurza experience. Pavel, I'm going to end this episode with how I end it all the time, which is I love you, man.
I love you too, bro, man. This is amazing. I'm happy that we're back this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening in also and keeping the questions going. I'm surprised always every week by the amount of questions we get, so I'm really happy about those. Yeah,
and when you eliminate the ones that involve premium tokens or Dagon, we get like 3. It's amazing.
Yeah. Still, I'm happy.
I'm very happy.
Pretty solid ones. Yeah.
No, definitely. And don't forget, if you do have a play of the week, be it a ridiculous play or and again, please don't tell me, I don't want to see a heat wave on a like a 30-point Melusine like that's not spectacular. Like, show us some really ridiculous and cool stuff. That's what we want to see, and we're gonna jam it onto the podcast and talk about it because again, this is an outlet for the community as well. And I know that it's just Pavel and I kind of shooting the breeze about everything that we love and are passionate about, including each other, because we just love each other. But
amen.
That's what this is for. So yeah, man, it's great to be back in form. And I know that there's an open coming up. I will be in Indianapolis this weekend for another major tournament. But when I do return, I will be jamming a shiatsu load of Gwent, and I will sneak in some streams here and there because I do miss talking to the community and such. So you will catch me out there as well.
Yeah, I'll be keeping my charity streams going for as long as I can. So that of you that might know or might not know, I'm streaming daily on Twitch.
Oh my God,
for charity. Yeah.
A Burza Flake co-op stream?
Oh, I was actually wanting to say that, but first I'll let you come back, and then I'll get on one of those.
Oh,
I want to get on one of those.
You and I just making the worst plays ever, and
perfect.
I'm all for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. There's some really cool archetypes now that we can get into. There's Congregate's really cool with the Fire Swarms. There's a lot now with Frost Monsters. I love Elven Swarm, which I'm kind of trying to pilot more or less okay, but I make still a couple mistakes there. But I think we'll have fun. We can have total fun with those.
And I'll teach you what Scorch does.
Yeah, you can teach me what Scorch does, because apparently I do not know. Yeah,
Who are you?
Misplay on the first stream. We made a misplay.
Oh,
Didn't read the card.
Imagine making a misplay or something like that. All right.
No.
Friends,
can't.
Thank you so much for listening to the Flurza experience. Don't forget, you're not losing if you're learning, so keep playing the game, and you might win. We'll see you next time on the Flurza experience. Dobranoc, dzieci!